Hey everyone, good evening and welcome. Welcome to tonight's live stream. I'm Tom. Welcome to Ludicrous Feed Live. Looking forward to chatting with you all tonight. How are we all doing tonight? 104 viewers already. Wow, that's fantastic. Welcome. Welcome to the chat and welcome to our live viewers. I can see already lots of comments flying in the chat there. So thank you so much everyone for joining us on tonight's very important topic. Almost 1 week out from the federal election. So we are talking about Labor's election promise of EV incentives or the electric vehicle discount that they promised pre-election. So we will dive into that and see exactly what they mean by an electric vehicle discount. And of course, we've got a special guest tonight to help us through all the details of that election promise. But first of all, let's get into tonight's stream and welcome all our viewers tonight. So I can see Alex there. Hey Alex, nice to see you. Fantastic, thanks for joining us. Hey Peter Cook, nice to see you there. He is on time for once. Welcome there, Peter, nice to see you there. And we've got Riz. Hey Riz, hello there from rainy Melbourne. Hello there. It's finally sunny here in Sydney, which I'm very thankful for. It's been great last couple of days. Hey Greg, nice to see you there. Thanks for joining us. And Jim, hey Jim, Jim's also a member. Nice of you to join us, Jim. Hello Charles, nice to see you there. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Looking forward to chatting with you and everyone else tonight indeed. And who else have we got? We've also got Harrison. Harrison is not Albo, I'm afraid, but we've got the next best thing. Couldn't get Anthony tonight. He's still overseas, I think, or on his way home or something. Anyway, but yeah, nice to see you there, Harrison. Indeed. So tonight we are chatting about Labor's pre-election promise about the electric vehicle discounts. So tonight, if you've got any thoughts on what new EV policies you would like to see implemented in this country, make sure you drop that into the live chat below there. And also, if you're watching on replay, hello, and make sure you leave a comment as well in the video. If you've got any EV policies you would love to see implemented that would help you get into an electric vehicle in Australia. And of course, don't forget to support Ludicrous Feed by purchasing a super chat comment tonight. Your comment will be seen more prominently, or you think about purchasing a channel membership, as some of our viewers have done already. And of course, there's always PayPal at Tesla Tom if you want to pledge anonymously to the channel. And thank you everyone for supporting. The fact that you're all here tonight is very good indeed. All right, so let's get straight into it. I just want to talk about the policy to start with. So let's pop this on. Okay, so Labor's electric car discount that was bandied about pre-election. So let's read it. It says Labor's electric car discount. Let's put on the screen so we can see better. There we go. Okay, so Labor's electric car discount. The Labor government will introduce an electric car discount to make electric cars cheaper so that more families who want them can afford them, and to reduce emissions. As part of the discount, Labor will exempt many electric cars from import tariffs, a 5% tax on some imported electric cars, and the word some is important, we'll go through that of course tonight, and fringe benefits tax, a 47% tax on electric cars that are provided through work for private use. These exemptions will be available to all electric cars below the electric car threshold. For fuel-efficient vehicles, $77,565 in 2020 to 2021. I think that's actually gone up in number for 21-22. We'll chat about that later on. This cut-off will encourage car manufacturers to import and supply more affordable EVs in Australia. To support the electric car discount, Labor government will also work with industry, unions, states and consumers to develop Australia's first national electric vehicle strategy, including consideration of further measures to increase electric car sales and infrastructure, policy settings to encourage Australian manufacturing. That's good, especially batteries, possibly cars themselves, ways to address policy implications of declining fuel excise. And they have said that electric car discount will begin on 1 July 2022 and be reviewed after 3 years in light of electric car uptake at that time. Okay, so that all sounds very good, but we'll see what that all means in further detail in a second. Now, I want to just introduce our guest tonight, which is Mr. Danny Tai. Danny is the founder of ZE.com. Let's just put him on now so we can see him. Danny is founder of zecar.com, a digital platform providing educational content, tools, and reviews about electric cars. His love of cars is only matched by his passion for renewable energy. Danny currently rides an electric scooter and is waiting for the delivery of 2 electric cars, but he hasn't decided which one he'll keep yet. Hello, Danny. Welcome to Ludicrous Feed Live.
Good evening. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited. I've seen a few of your videos, so I wasn't expecting to be on so quickly. Thought it would take a bit longer. So,
no, it's great. It's great to have you on, Danny. And before we get into too serious discussion, which 2 electric cars are you waiting for?
Well, unfortunately, I'm a broke entrepreneur, so my choices were pretty limited. They were the most cost-effective vehicles available in the market, being the Atto 3 and the Model 3. In an ideal world, if I had a bit more money, might have looked at the Kia EV6 because I like the VTL feature. I love just the Kia tech, the hardware tech. I think you touched a good point. Maybe the charging's not there yet, but everything else about the car is pretty fantastic from what I've seen. And I'm actually getting a Tesla in a few weeks, so I'll be writing a review on that as well. I don't think I'll do a video yet, mate. I'm not as brave as you. Maybe we'll get there one day.
It's not about being brave. Just got to do it.
Yeah, that's true.
The viewers help. The comments are great.
Yeah.
All right, Danny. Well, let's jump into your very excellent article, which you wrote recently, and I'll just pop it up so we can all see it. Here we go. So, Danny wrote for Z Cars. Is it ZE Cars or
Zeekr. So
Zeekr
stands for zero emissions car. So that's the mission. Make it truly zero emissions. Because everyone thinks, I drive an electric car, I'm saving the world. Well, no, you're not. Charging from the grid, still pretty dirty. But there is a way we can make it zero emissions. So that's the mission. So I'm doing this because I believe in it. I've could have stayed in banking, had a good career, made a lot of money, but I decided to leave all that and chase the dream, make a difference.
No, good on you. I mean, a lot of our viewers are the same. We want to do the right thing for the environment and for sustainability, and like you said, zero emissions. That's the way to go, I think. And we're not quite there yet, but certainly baby steps.
No, this is a really good first step. Really, really good first step.
Yeah.
Well, not first step, but a good additional step.
Early steps.
Yeah.
So let's go through your article. So what does a Labor government mean for electric cars in Australia? You wrote this yesterday, or this posted yesterday?
Yeah.
Do you want to run us through it?
Yeah. So I guess the 2 key things are the exemption of import tariffs on electric cars, and the benefit of that being that any cars that are imported that taxes are paid on, they'll be abolished. And then there's the exemption of the fringe benefits tax on electric cars. So I can talk you through the first one. So I think the government article claims that you can save up to $2,000 on a $50,000 car. I think either them or the Electric Vehicle Council used the Nissan Leaf as an example, which is true, I guess, if you're paying import tax on that. But the reality is there's a little table in the article that shows the countries which and some manufacturers. That's not always true, but generally Audis do come from Germany or Turkey or somewhere. I don't know exactly, but the countries where electric cars are most likely to come from: China, Korea, Japan, United States, maybe the UK. None of them. We have free trade agreements with them all, so that means we're not currently paying import tax. Meaning, if we abolish it, it's not going to make a difference to the price.
Yep.
Countries where we don't have a free trade agreement with, such as many of the European countries, then if it is 5%, then we may see some price reductions. So it could be maybe some of the luxury German brands, which are not enriched on most Australians, which are probably most likely above the luxury car tax threshold. So they might not even be eligible, but maybe VW. Then again, it also depends where VW comes from. Is it coming from China or is it coming from Germany? So we'll see when we get some VW electric cars. Apparently they're coming next year, so and I really want to see it. I like VW as a company.
I mean that was the one company I was very interested in because obviously Volkswagen makes a lot of cars, and the ID4 platform is something we're looking forward to. And if we don't currently have a trade agreement with Germany or a lot of the European countries, like you say, then that could hopefully encourage Volkswagen or VW to bring their cars in. If we've got this, at least we've got this exemption.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely makes it more affordable because VWs, I think, it's meant to kind of compete with the Toyotas of the world, and they've always been a little bit more expensive. And now I know why. but with that 5% off, if we save a few $1,000s, then everything counts.
Yeah, correct. I mean, interesting. I didn't actually realize the Leaf was imported from the UK. So the Leaf is quite a popular car.
Oh,
so if we see, it's about 50 grand. So that's $2,000 off. Hopefully that'll be passed on to the consumer.
I personally think we have more imported Japanese leaves than we have leaves from the UK. It seems to be the more popular thing to do. But yeah, that's I didn't know that. Learn something new every day.
Yeah, and I think you're right. But I read somewhere there was some imports from the UK. Anyway, 50 grand, $2,000 off. Do you reckon? Manufacturers will pass it on to us?
So yes, in all things equal, you might save 2,000. But the problem is the IEA, the International Energy Agency, they're actually forecasting a slight increase in battery prices for 2022 because of obviously what's happening around the world. So I don't think that saving will manifest itself this year or next year, but I think things will normalize, right? The world will go back to normal, and we will see a reduction in battery prices. But I think things have been delayed now, probably for at least, in terms of price reductions, at least 12 months.
Yep. Yeah, like there was one question here I saw in the chat here. So will this cap of 77 grand be lifted to the 2021 cap of a bit over 79 grand? I guess that was a pre-election promise, so we don't know exactly what the details are at this stage from Labor.
But it does rise every year because it's adjusted. They've got some type of adjustment method. They do. So yeah.
Run us through the fringe benefits tax. I read up a little bit about. I mean, it doesn't really.
Yeah, so that's actually the really big one. And that. So in the UK, so there's a stat I've included there. In 2019, 3% of cars sold in the UK were electric. In 2020, they removed their payment in kind, which is the same as our fringe benefits tax, I believe. And then 2021, I think EVs were 25%. So they went from, it's crazy, right? 3 to 25% in the space of 2 years. And I believe that's largely off the back of, look, I can't say correlation is causation, but I haven't looked at the actual fleet numbers, but I imagine it's got a large something to do with it. Yeah, so it makes a huge difference. And I'll talk about, I guess, why that's going to make such a big difference. So, so FBT. Now, do you want me to give like a bit of a look? So first of all, I'm not a qualified accountant, tax accountant. So don't take advice from me. I did study accounting in uni, and I worked as an accountant in uni for a few years, but I never worked as an accountant. So yeah, take everything I say with a massive bucket of salt.
That's okay. It's better than me. I've got no accounting background, so we'll rely on you.
But look, I understand. I think I've got a pretty decent general understanding to be able to explain it. But yeah, if you so I'll so in terms of fringe benefits, companies basically provide cars. It's in the context of companies and fleets. So companies generally provide cars to employees for two reasons. You need it for your job, to do your job. So, like those pathology cars that drive around, like you just need that as your job. I wouldn't want that as my car, right? They're normally like little Echoes, whatever.
But they'd be good EVs though, wouldn't they?
Oh, they would be, but not for me. I've got like 2 young kids and everything, so like too much going on. The other reason is it's like an employment perk. Yeah, like we've got like deals with so and so, and you can salary package it and get through an innovated lease. So that's the other situation. Now, both reasons will benefit from that. It's actually a huge thing for kind of companies now because there's this massive focus on improving their ESG rating, going net zero, and now they have financial reasons as well as maybe employer of choice reasons to accelerate that. Historically, fleet sales have been 50% of new car sales anyway. So when you look at EVs, unfortunately, hopefully they don't crowd the market too much, but it might be higher. I imagine it's going to be higher. Yeah. So I guess where I think it's going to be of interest to a lot of people is the fact that, historically people have salary sacrificed their cars to get a tax benefit from that. Now, the case for salary sacrifice through a novated lease, it's always been a gray area. It's a question that people often ask, and it may or may not work for you. It depends, obviously, on a lot of different things. The key thing it depends on is, I guess, your salary, how much you drive, and then that affects the running costs. And then obviously for everyone, it's going to be different, right? Whether it makes sense or not. Now, when a car is provided to an employee, whether it be the person that just has to have it as their work car or whether it's like your perk, there's going to be an element of personal use. Yeah. And that's viewed from the ATO as kind of like a non-cash benefit. And they want to tax you for that. So they tax you via the fringe benefits tax. Yeah. So there's like a few methods that they use to calculate that. There's the statutory method and the operating method, operating cost method, which is basically you got to keep a logbook. I think most people in organizations use the statutory method. There's a formula kind of on the article if you're interested. I'm actually in the process of creating a calculator for all that. So
cool.
Yeah. But anyway, where was I, James?
So we're talking about how to calculate fringe benefits. So 20% is the statutory.
Yeah. So this calculation basically it creates like a value, what your that personal value is, and then the fringe benefit of 47% is paid on that. Yeah. So for a $50,000 car, I think I use an example. If you go to the article, there's an example there. The fringe benefit or the taxable value there is 10,000. So the company has to pay 47% on that times the gross up factor, which is 2. So you're basically paying close to $10,000 for that $50,000 car. Yeah. So if it's a company car which you're forced to drive, they'll probably pay for it. But if it's like a perk, then you as because you asked for the novated lease by salary sacrifice, you've got to pay for that $10,000 like on a $50,000. That's a huge amount of money.
I mean, this is a tax that employers have to pay, but they often pass it on to employees, I believe.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah. That is correct. Because, you're kind of getting a car as a part of your job, right? Like, especially if it's like a salary sacrifice arrangement where it's normally prompted by the employee or it's something they want. It's not necessarily required for their job. But often in those cases, it pretty much always is passed on. But often, even if it's just a company car, they'll pass it on. Like my brother-in-law works at CBA and he got like a Mitsubishi, can't remember, ASX or ATX or whatever it is. Like, I don't think it's his perfect car, but he accepted it anyway. And he's got to make I think a $5,000 payment to that every year to cover, I think, most of the FBT. So the great thing about this is that's gone. That's no longer there. So now the business case for the company, the business case for you as, I guess, an employee is really compelling because now you can claim the cost of the lease, so the financing costs and then the running costs as a tax deduction to reduce your taxable income. Yeah, which is really compelling. And now and you no longer need to pay the personal, the fringe benefit tax on your personal use.
Yeah.
So it's really compelling. So it's like if you make $100,000 and you spend $30,000 on your car a year. That goes against your 100,000. You're taxed on 70,000, and obviously the tax you pay on 70,000 is much lower than 100,000. So it's really compelling. The catch here is though, your employer needs to be able to support it. So not every business has arrangements for kind of salary sacrifice through novated lease. So larger organizations typically do. Smaller ones, it may be a bit of a mixed bag. Maybe there's an opportunity to do something there. I don't know. Maybe. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how. Smaller businesses deal with it, and whether people can just request, for their employer to kind of facilitate something like this. Because I don't really want people who are working in small businesses to be left out. Just because they work for a small business, they should have the right, I believe, to have access to this as well. So I think we need to figure that out somehow. Whether it's government or private led, I think we should figure it out.
I mean, for me, between the two promises they made, between the exemption from duty versus this seems to be this is far better than the other one because
it's huge. Huge.
if all you have to do is as an employee of a big organization who has a perk, you just show this your article to your employer and go, look, you're saving this much money over 5 years. It's a no-brainer.
So before it was a gray area, right? Like novated lease is it good for me? It's not, and I think the more you drive, the more you can claim off your taxable income. It's going to make more sense. Now, but then that's offset by all the fees you pay, the interest you pay, and the FBT you have to pay, right? Now you don't have to pay FBT anymore. So it's always going to make sense now.
Yeah.
So it's a no-brainer.
I want to ask you, Danny, if you know what happens. Is there a way to claim charging costs? Obviously, there's with petrol you can have a logbook method and stuff. What about electricity costs?
I think the ATO is still trying to figure that out. But if there is a way for you to be able to measure it and prove it, then I think you'll be okay. So if you have a meter or you have maybe there's an application that is able to kind of measure and differentiate between the charger and kind of your general power use, or you don't have access to charging and you just subscribe to one of the charging networks. That's pretty easy to differentiate. So it's all just about the ability to differentiate. And look, and it's minuscule in the scheme of things, right? Come on, we're paying okay, maybe not now. Electricity prices are increasing, but where the big costs are the actual cost of the car, the financing costs. And those you most definitely can claim.
Yep. Got a comment here from Greg, one of our members. Members. The problems with a lot of novated leases is that they have pretty bad interest rates, quite a lot of fees. EVs have very low running costs. I could not make the numbers work compared to 2.99% interest.
Yeah, Greg's right. Because it's all about, okay, you're going to get a bit of a tax deduction for claiming everything against your taxable income, but you're also paying more interest on that, right? Compared to, say, a mortgage or some of the lower kind of rate car loans. But now, because you're not paying FBT on it anymore, it's a no-brainer. It doesn't matter how, it'd have to be 30% or something, you know what I mean, for it not to make sense.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Look, and I'm going to be making a calculator. So if you guys go to my website, I've got a whole bunch of calculators. Second version is coming in the next month. They're really cool. And I'm going to be working on this. They're very hard to build. And this particularly is quite complex. It actually has taken me many years to understand how novated leases work. And I only was able to figure it out once I started building the model. I could only conceptualize it once I saw the numbers because it's just confusing. Yeah.
I mean, I remember using salary sacrifice many years ago when I started working, properly out of uni. There's a lot of fees with salary sacrifice.
And my understanding is if you are in the certain industries, they do have favorable treatment for novated leases. I don't know what the exact rules are, and that tends to make sense for those industries a little bit more, like nurses, doctors, teachers, and things like that. But now it doesn't matter. Now it makes sense for everyone.
Yeah, cool.
For electric cars only, though.
Yeah, true. Well, now, FBT
under the luxury car tax threshold of whatever it's going to be.
Yeah, 79 grand.
Limits it to not that many cars, actually.
Well, I mean, 79 grand, you can get a SR, basic rear-wheel drive Tesla Model 3. That's already under 79 grand.
Yes.
I think even the long range is under 79 if you just go vanilla.
Yeah, but you got to add delivery fees on top of that.
That's all included, is it?
I'm pretty sure you have to include delivery fees. That's how it works.
Okay.
Well, a luxury car tax, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
For most of the state EV incentives, you have to add it back.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now, someone asked before. It's a good question. I think we might have answered it through the chat. But what happens if? Here we go. Quick question: how will it work? Federal incentives plus state incentives? Can you get both?
Yeah, there's no reason why you can't.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I guess if it's the company that owns the car. Yeah, so I guess the company that owns the car will get the company that's buying the car will get the incentive, I guess, against it, and and then
good point.
Yeah.
Yes. So
but that means you're just financing a lower amount. Your lease will be a lower amount because that company is getting it. Yeah, I think that's how that'll work.
That makes sense. Let's see if there's anything else, but let's go through. You've done a 5-year comparison between.
Yeah, I love doing my comparisons. So this is my banking and finance background, where I did this for a job for so many years. So now I've been able to find my special talent. Well, that's not that special because everyone in banking does this stuff. But I've been able to apply it in the world of energy, which has been quite useful for, I think, a lot of people. So this is just, I'm just comparing the cost, I guess, of a Tesla Model 3, which is probably going to be quite a popular fleet car, and the Toyota Camry, which is probably hybrid, which is probably the most popular fleet car out there. And it's just looking at, purchase costs, what drive-away prices after incentives, and then based on an average driver in New South Wales, what the annual cost will be, and then what the FBT payable would be, which is one of the last lines there, if it was on a novated lease or if it was so this is kind of more from the company's perspective. So the company is going to save now, that amount, and then it makes it very compelling. It's much cheaper, believe it or not, to own a Model 3 than a Toyota Camry hybrid. Who would have thought? Yeah, like it effectively becomes cheaper within a year and a half because you're paying a little bit more upfront here, 13,000. Slightly lower running costs because it's a hybrid, so it's pretty efficient. But then the FBT, right? Like it'll take just a bit over a year and a half, and then boom, you're in the money.
Yeah, no brainer. I mean, how long do companies keep fleet cars normally? What, 3 years?
3 to 5 years, I think.
Yeah.
Look, I've got to look at the numbers, but it's 3 to 5 years typically. Yeah.
And obviously the benefit, the flow and benefit of having more fleet cars, obviously, is that they sell them on the second-hand market.
Yes, exactly.
And they're in pretty good condition, really, aren't they? Because they're work
cars.
Yeah,
typically they're in quite good condition. So that's going to accelerate the used car market. It's going to take a while. We all want one now, right? We want an EV now. But the reality is, it's going to take 3 years. But hey, you got to start somewhere, right? And just look at the UK. They went from, 3% to 25% in the space of 2 years, and they got no sun. We got like free fuel from the sun. You know what I mean? Like it makes so much more sense to own an electric car in this country.
I think you're right. It'll take a little time, and also because there's obviously a supply shortage.
And I just want to say that, like, once vehicle to the grid, and I know we're at least a few years away from this, becomes commercialized, becomes available, you've got all the benefits of an electric car, and then eventually you're going to be able to plug it into your home if you're lucky enough to own a home, and offset your power bills, right? You've got a massive battery in there, so you charge it through solar as well. Like it's just we're insanely lucky as this country. And another interesting fact is that most manufacturers are now moving to LFP, lithium iron phosphate, for their battery chemistry, especially for their base model. The energy density of those batteries for that chemistry now is up to scratch, and it's really good. Australia happens to be leading, like top 3 in resources for every single element in an LFP battery. We have everything: graphite, iron, So even with nickel and cobalt shortages, we're going to be fine. Like even as we taper off coal, because obviously tapering off coal means that things are getting electrified, right? Renewable energy is increasing. Renewable energy uptake is increasing, but renewables are always going to be intermittent. Renewable energy always needs to be stored. And guess what? The go-to battery for storage right now is it's LFP, the lithium iron phosphate. And guess what? Australia has lots of stuff.
Yep.
We just need to figure out how we dig it out and stuff. So, maybe I'll go back into banking, into finance, all that, because that's where really all the money is. This finance, mining industry. But that's, we just continue being the lucky country. If we can figure out how to dig out all that stuff, we're just like, seem like unlimited supply of natural resources. It's ridiculous.
I'm very interested in seeing the BYD home storage battery, because I believe they'll be using the blade.
And I think they make more sense because they're modular. Before I started Zeekr, I was I had a business where I was trying to sell solar systems to businesses, and part of what I did there was also I developed kind of capability to model like battery systems with solar. And the thing is, right, the Powerwall 2, which is the most popular product in the market, that's 13.5 kilowatt hours. Not everyone needs 13.5, or not everyone needs 2 Powerwalls, right? Or 27. So the great thing with the BYD system is it's modular. So you can add, I don't know if it's 5 at a time or what the exact number is, but it's modular. It makes more sense, right? There's less wastage. But in my opinion, if your car can serve as a battery, that makes a lot more sense.
Well, you look at the Kia EV6, it's 77 kilowatt hours or something. That's huge.
And I read somewhere that the hardware in that is already enabled for V2G. It's more of a firmware software thing. Like we just need to get our standards and finalized, which will take a few years in this country, and they can basically switch on the software to enable it. And they're already doing like trials like in Korea and I think the Netherlands.
I have to agree with Peter's comment here. V2G won't be popular. V2L might be. Charge at the train station or work daytime on solar. Take the battery home, drain it to cook dinner, run your house at night, leaving enough to get back in the AM.
I agree.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me.
Sorry, when I meant V2G, I was thinking more V to H or V to L.
Yeah, me too.
That's how I see it. Yeah. V2G is more like maybe how it'll work is you'll get paid like $5 here and there maybe to like provide a bit of service to the grid, but it's not going to be a huge thing. It'll be intermittent. Whereas with V to H or V to L, whatever you call it, you can basically offset most of all of your peak energy use. It's really exciting actually. It's also when like our energy's kind of it's at its dirtiest, right? Like when the sun goes down. Yeah. Also, unfortunately, like with a lot of like charging, like EV charging plants, they're incentivizing people to charge at night, which is good. But it also, if you're in Victoria, it also happens to be when those coal-fired power plants, using brown coal, they tend to be firing on all cylinders as well. So it's not ideal. So yeah, ideally you charge during the day when it's sunny. Yeah.
Yep. And the other benefit of a V2L with a big battery like the EV6 or Hyundai Ioniq 5 is, you know, if obviously there's a blackout, then you need to go off grid. That's amazing. You've got a 70 kilowatt battery.
I'm really excited when I get
10 kilowatt on the roof.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, you can go for days, weeks.
Yeah, 100%. Look, the appliances these days don't consume that much energy. You literally could survive days. Correct. Your fridge is probably like 1.5 kilowatt hours. TV's like 500 watts.
Lights are nothing.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. Yeah, you could live like days.
Yeah. I also agree with Alex's comment. I hope they improve EV vans. There is bugger all in Australia. I quite like vans actually. I think they're great. Very utility.
So Alex, I heard from Industry Insider that a commercial van is coming to the market.
Nice.
But it's not a family van, commercial van.
Okay.
Yeah, I think later this year.
One of the known manufacturers or brand new startup?
Known if you are maybe in the commercial space, maybe. Yeah.
I'd love to have a van. Could store so much. Let's see. We've got any other comments? What are your thoughts on hydrogen, Danny? Let's throw a spanner in the works.
Yeah, I actually did some work for a company that was commercializing hydrogen energy storage, and that's an interesting one. I wouldn't say like I'm the most educated person to talk about it because, well, actually maybe I actually do know a little bit. Did some work on it. I got paid to do it, so I'm a professional, I guess. I just see, look, it doesn't, for me, just the economics just aren't competitive with batteries. And we're kind of only in the early stages of battery tech. Hydrogen's kind of already reached its limit in terms of its operational potential. In terms of its economics, there is a way to go, but there's only so low it can go. But batteries can get so much better. The problem with hydrogen is the round trip efficiency because of all the conversion that has to happen. So if you have a hydrogen storage unit, say at home, for example, you've got to be able to pump water into it. The water I guess the hydrogen needs to be split from the water through an electrolyzer that I guess consumes energy, and then it needs to be stored. So that there's also a bit of energy involved there. Yeah, and then it needs to be converted to electricity again. So the round trip is, I think, it depends on kind of the power level, but it ranges anywhere between say 45 to 55% at best. It can be even lower depending on the level of power.
Yeah, I'd say worse, definitely.
Yeah, so so basically for the same amount of energy stored, you need to generate double. Yeah. So but then you've also got just the infrastructure. Yeah. And like hydrogen cars, like you need like new
fuel
infrastructure.
Stations. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing, aren't you?
It's crazy, right? And they're expensive. Whereas charging stations aren't as expensive, and a lot of people just can charge at home as well.
That's right.
Yeah. So I can't see it being relevant for kind of light vehicles. Maybe for really heavy haulage, but then again, it all depends on battery technology. It all hinges on that. Because there's a lot of alternate kind of storage technologies that are being developed. But every day kind of batteries get better is just reducing or making the business case for those worse. The only thing with batteries is, do we have enough battery resources kind of in the world to support our needs? I think that's still to be determined. I don't think we know the answer to that yet. But the great thing about batteries is they can be 95% recycled as well, right? So that's already proven. That's a fact. We don't have the supply chain to do it yet, but once we have them in place, why would you don't need anything else. Just recycle the batteries. Yeah.
Well, as you said, we're pretty lucky in Australia. We've got the elements at least. And I think Tesla's going to build a factory in Indonesia. I think I read that during the week. Or at least that's what they're trying to do.
Interesting. They should build one here. I think Mr. Musk.
Of course, there should be one here.
Australia. Yeah. We'll build one here, and I think we used to export cars to the Middle East. Let's keep doing that. They love their cars. So let's do that.
Have you heard much about I think I saw Polestar this week talking about a new charging technique, like some sort of fast charging. Let's just have a quick look at this.
Oh, yeah, they made an investment in, I think, Skoda.
Yes.
Skoda, I think, are trying to commercialize, I guess, battery tech. I think they were looking at, was it solid state or 4680 format? I can't remember, but it's something very similar to kind of what Tesla, but everyone else is developing. I think what people don't realize is Tesla's not the only one that's innovating on the battery front. Like there's a whole bunch of companies, particularly in China, which we don't hear much about, but yeah, they're at the cutting edge of battery tech. They have a lot of engineers that are just working on that, chipping away at that problem. So
very clever people.
Yeah.
160 Ks in 5 minutes by StoreDot by 2020.
Yeah, like there's a lot of claims, right? But until it becomes mass market, like it's all just theoretical in a lab. Can you commercialize it, right, and make it economically viable? That's the thing. Like there's been so many claims about battery technology, but what they've realized is to commercialize it and scale manufacturing, it's not easy, right? This is what a lot of the EV startups are seeing in the US, where massive market caps, right? But they've not even delivered a car, or they've only delivered a handful. It's because manufacturing at mass economically is really difficult.
Yeah, correct. As we found out with Tesla over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a H2, right? A cost of hydrogen refuel stations is extremely high. That's right. I think a cost of a DC charger is like 100K, but I can imagine a refuel station is even higher. Yeah,
I guess with the cost of the DC charger, there's a charger itself, but there's also the network requirements, because the network can only handle so much load. So depending on where it's placed, there may be a need for network upgrades. So this is a big problem that we're going to have to address in Australia, because our infrastructure for charging is pretty pathetic. Public infrastructure, that is. We have pretty good home infrastructure setups because we're quite lucky. But yeah, the public is. So that's something that will need to be addressed before, I guess, the mass market starts adopting electric cars. And I think we're probably at the very early stages of that. So we need to sort it out in the next few years.
Yeah, I think particularly with apartment living, and high density, medium density living, not everyone has access to a carport or street parking. So we do need those urban chargers.
Yeah.
And very close to me, there's a Bunnings that just opened up. Wouldn't it be great to have a DC charger in a Bunnings car park? They're everywhere.
It's a no-brainer to basically put
no-brainer.
like destination chargers or DC chargers at shopping centers. Everybody, maybe not everyone, but I think the current generation, because of COVID, they've basically gone fully online for a lot of their shopping, grocery deliveries, clothes shopping. As a shopping center, I would want to be placing destination chargers at my shopping center. So these apartment dwellers come and charge their car and go buy something. It's going to cost them $3-5 to charge their car fully, but they're going to spend at least,
weekly
I
shop.
told my mate who's he's at Westfields. He runs a thing there. Like, mate, you guys should be looking at this.
Yeah, 100%. I didn't know that the Toyota Prius. Okay, Hyundai Ioniq. I knew the original Ioniq was axed. I think that's axed in general. The original one. Prius is gone as well. Did you know this?
Yeah, because it was their hero kind of, this is our hybrid type thing, you know what I mean? But now everything is hybrid. Same thing with the Ioniq. It was Hyundai's hero EV, but now, going forward, it's going to be a focus for Hyundai. So yeah, it makes sense. And plus, they're pretty ugly cars. Well,
which one?
No offense. The Ioniq looks okay. I don't mind the Ioniq, but Prius, never been a fan of it.
It turned a lot of people off EVs, I must say. It's like very boxy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why they did that. Just make it look normal.
It's a conspiracy.
Were the aerodynamic benefits that much better? It didn't even look aerodynamic.
Pretty boxy to me. Now we're seeing the RAV4s. They're everywhere. RAV4 hybrids.
Everywhere. I think it's probably easier to get a RAV4 than it is easier to get an electric car than it is a RAV4. I think.
2 years? Something like that?
Yeah, 18 months.
Yeah.
I think Riz was saying 18 months. It's crazy.
It's nuts. It really is. All right, here's a question for you, Danny. Since you've got both on order, run us through BYD versus
I haven't
Tesla.
chosen yet, Alex.
Come on, you can choose now.
Look, honestly, the Model 3 it's an amazing car. It's an incredible car. It really is.
Yep.
I haven't owned any of them, so I can't say for sure. I've driven a Model 3. Like for like, I think the Model 3 is still better. Like for like, The BYD is a fantastic car from what I can see. If it could do V to H, then I would choose it over the Model 3, but it can't. So I think for me, the Model 3 will probably have a gut that'll be the car we keep.
No, it does. I think it's got an adapter.
It's got V to L. Yes,
Okay.
so I can plug it, but I can't use it. Like I can't plug it into like an inverter to power my home as a battery.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah. That's a game changer for me personally.
Even I don't think the EV6 nor the Ioniq 5 has V to H.
None of them can.
Yeah, none of them do.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Only the Nissan can. But then that unit that you have to buy is 10,000, so it kind of eradicates the business case for that. But in time, it'll be cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, for dollar, like BYD, in terms of efficiency, is phenomenal.
Yeah, and I can. Yeah, look, I'm pretty sure the BYD is going to be a very efficient car. I think it'll like in terms of the range, and we're actually working on another calculator. It's the real world range calculator, where we're going to be developing kind of like range estimates for Australian conditions. So people have a realistic idea of kind of what the range is going to be. We actually did an article on the Volvo C40, which is going to be released in the third quarter of this year. And we did an estimate of the real range for combined, which is about 60 kilometers an hour on average, urban, which is about 40, and freeway, which is 90. And the range you get is drastically different. So we'll eventually, once we get more data, so we get data online, looking at other websites, reviews, but eventually we want to get our own data, and we want to get Australian specific data and then apply our modeling to that. So I don't think it'll be too much different, but it's always better when you've got local data.
Yeah.
So if you got any ideas how we can form a community to collect that data, and so then we can crunch those numbers and just make it available to everyone, because a lot of people seem to be shocked that there are Model 3 rear-wheel drives not getting 490 kilometers.
Myself included.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of education still needed to be done, for WLTP, EPA, NEDC, which you can throw away now. But yeah, I mean, even WLTP still overestimates real world range, as I found out.
Except for what the Hyundai Kona, I always read it hits the numbers. Like, it's crazy. Like everyone, all the owners I know all hit like 450 to 550. It's insane.
Yeah.
It's probably the most efficient car in the history of like electric cars.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Anecdotally, from what I've seen. Yeah.
Having actually,
Model 3 is still pretty efficient, but it's just not as efficient as its actual numbers. But it's still one of the most efficient cars.
Well, see, is the Model 3 because of all the stuff that's running in the background? You got like Sentry mode and battery management.
That's true. I think that had something to do with it. But didn't they upgrade the computer? And you will know better than me. But that might help. I don't know.
They did. They did just with the software update. Yeah.
I came across an article that basically said that the way Tesla do their testing, they do it slightly different to everybody else. Don't quote me on this. I have to find the article. And as a result, the EPA tests are a bit more generous, and potentially also the WLTP. But I've got to find the article. And I think that might be the reason. That aside, though, the Teslas are still some of the most efficient. Yeah, but I think real world, though, it might be the Kona EV, which the
EV6 was pretty good when I had it.
Yeah,
it was pretty close on my highway driving test.
Yeah. That seems to be the feedback that the Korean manufacturers seem to get pretty close to the numbers.
But then again, I think it's like I said, it's because there's no Sentry mode, no battery management. Well, not as good battery management, maybe. But Sentry mode. I mean, you can.
So charging network aside, if you had to choose between the EV6 and the your Tesla, which one?
On the spot. Yeah. Look, I love the Model 3. It's if you want a bigger car, the EV6 is a good car. Like the fastback. It's roomy. Like the kids in the back were like stretched out. There's so much room out there.
Yeah.
And the higher driving position is good, I must say. So that's where the Y is going to be good. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's why I'm excited. And that's the great thing about kind of all electric platforms. You've got a smaller external footprint, but you've got so much space inside.
So much space.
There's no wastage, right? And
there's no drive tunnel in the middle for the second row. It's great.
Yeah.
It saves so much room.
It's funny, like people don't realize how much they want electric cars yet. Once they realize the benefits of this, right? If it's introduced, if it's passed, the legislation's passed, I'm sure it will be. Like, why would you block this? You're going to be like public enemy number one if you block something like this.
Yeah.
And then you drive one, it's like a no-brainer. Like, it's
100%.
Just, why would you? Like, charging infrastructure aside, right? Like, some people live in apartments, it's a bit harder for sure.
Speaking of charging, I would just want to put up Peter, one of our Peter's a member, but also he's actually an Uber driver, Danny, because you don't know. He's an Uber driver Model 3, and he drives around a lot. So he says the Supercharger network is a huge thing on public holiday weekends. The third-party networks just aren't there for peak demand days. They're tolerable the rest of the year for non-Teslas. Yeah.
Does peak demand mean just days where it's really busy?
I would think so.
Yeah.
Like public holidays.
It's funny he says that
holidays.
because we just did an article comparing kind of like the Supercharger network and the other networks. And the other networks actually have more chargers, a lot more.
I read that, yes.
But Tesla has more stalls in each charger. And also Tesla chargers are a lot more reliable. So we haven't done the maths yet. The simple maths was there's 250 for like ChargeFox versus like 50 for Tesla. But then ChargeFox only has 2 or 3 stalls, whereas Tesla has like half a dozen. And then maybe of the 2 or 3 of the ChargeFoxes, let's just say half aren't working, whereas with Tesla, maybe like nearly all, like 3/4 are working. So yeah.
But see, that's the key,
anecdotally,
right?
it seems like the Supercharger network overall, even though there's less locations, is better because of all that.
Well, that's the key. Like more stalls. So even if one's down or you're waiting, you're not waiting long because even because there's 6 of them, someone's gonna jump off eventually. Whereas if you've got ChargeFox or EV, there's 2. If one's broken or one's being used, then you're potentially waiting quite a while.
Well, I'm going to face that problem now. So when we live in an apartment, luckily for us though, our apartment, we actually do have power in the garage.
Oh, good.
But the garage was built for cars in the 70s. So literally, like it's so small. Like I get so stressed trying to. So I'm probably only going to charge like once a week, and I might rely on public charging. So it'll be interesting to compare kind of that experience with the Atto 3, because I'm going to keep it for at least it's meant to come in July. I'll keep it at least until the Model 3 comes, which I think will be December. And we'll see what we do from there. But I think it'll be a good experience to write about that as well.
Are you close to a Supercharger and a non-Tesla charger?
I'm in Drummoyne, so we have a Birkenhead Point has a destination charger. I don't think it's got a supercharger. Does it have a supercharger there?
No, just destination.
And I think there's Mervac's pretty good. I think Mervac owns. They're pretty good with the charging. So they've been trying to install it. I think they've got like non-Tesla as well. But if Tesla opens it up to everyone, which I don't know if they really should, they can if they want. Then it doesn't matter. Do you think they should open the Supercharger network to everyone?
I personally think they should if they put more chargers in. At the current rate, it's going to be like crowded. But also the
7 out of 10 electric cars are Tesla anyway. You know what I mean?
True.
So it's
the cables aren't long enough. You know what I mean? If you've got a Ionic, we call them the Audi. What's it called? e-tron. The e-tron.
Yes, the location.
Yeah, it's too short.
Can I ask, like, in the future, do you think that people are going to vandalize all these cables? Are we going to be in a world where we have chargers without the cables and you got to bring your own because there's too much like?
It's happened already in the US. I saw a picture of all the Supercharger stalls all cut somewhere in the US. So
that's so stupid. That's high voltage stuff.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Like, all these people. Yeah.
And on my trip to Adelaide, I think there was a charger. Put on my video. There was a charger that was actually vandalized as well. So that is going to be an issue moving forward. But if they put chargers in petrol stations like Ampol are doing, then at least there's security, 24/7. Hopefully.
But like, why would you go and sit half an hour at a petrol station? Like, you'd want to do it at a shopping center while you're doing shopping or going to the gym, going to Bunnings, right? Like, not like at Ampol. It makes sense, right? Like, if it's a transit stop, if you know.
On the road,
Well, on Parramatta Road, for example, sometimes I pour fuel there. I get so angry when I pour fuel now. I'm like, when's my car coming? Because I'm paying like $90 fucking tank. It's so crazy. Even my daughter noticed that. She's like, yeah, Dad, we poured fuel. It was like $94.
I know.
She understands. She's like 6, right? So she understands, well, it's getting expensive.
The kids understand. 100%.
Yeah.
I mean, now the fuel's gone up again. Yeah, the fuel excise.
Yeah, the excise, has it still been cut or did it come off?
It's still cut.
I think that's crazy. It's going to be like $3 without it, right?
It's going to be crazy.
So even if electricity prices double, it's still much, much cheaper than petrol. And I think electricity prices, they may almost double in some states, but they will come down eventually. It will normalize because ultimately our grid is, it's 30% renewable energy. That's very cheap. It's increasing by the day.
Yep. And
coal and gas prices will normalize eventually.
Let's hope so. Question for you, Danny, from Alex. Question: with more demand, increasing manufacturers to come 2023-24, will the prices reduce? Thoughts: I'd love to buy a Tesla if the price is reduced.
Yeah, no, I'm not optimistic at all. I think prices will hold at where they are. I think the Chinese manufacturers that are coming in, I think they're priced very appropriately, and I think they represent good value for money. And I think they'll hold for a few years because battery prices are forecasted to stay or actually increase this year. Chip shortages will continue. This whole world, this whole supply chain issue that's happening around the world, that's going to continue for at least 12 months. Yeah. Yes, things are going to ramp up, but prices are going to, but I don't think it matters. Look, it does matter, I guess, if you're kind of looking at cars that are $20,000 to $30,000. But if you're looking at a car that's average in price, which in Australia is $43,000, the electric alternative probably already makes sense. The electric alternative probably will cost $50,000, $55,000. It already makes sense. Just borrow the extra $12,000 and you'll get that back just from fuel and maintenance.
The Tesla stretch, many people say.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have any other questions here? Oh, there's some chat about the Toombul flood that caused the one in Queensland to close. That's disappointing. That's going to be an issue too, like charger locations. We don't want them to be damaged from natural elements either. Not just vandalism.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate because I understand that was one of the main charging hubs in Brisbane. They had had the V3 supercharger apparently.
That's right. That was the only one.
Yeah.
Shame. Riz is quite confident it might go. Well, not confident, but he's optimistic at least. If the Indo plant opens up, getting a lot cheaper, hopefully.
Yeah.
Never know.
I think anyway,
we'll see.
Even if we don't have a free trade agreement with Indonesia, which I don't know if we do, maybe we do, don't matter anymore. It'll be 0% import tax.
Yeah, that's true.
Go Indonesia.
Not there.
Yeah, I didn't include it there because I don't think they're known for manufacturing cars.
They're not.
I just put the country, the brands. I worked off the brands. So when I put that table together, I worked off the brands. And
I see.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of the brands also manufacture and ship from other countries, so it's not a perfect table, but yeah, it does the job.
So it's actually importing from the country, not from the country of origin. Different.
Yeah,
okay,
that's my understanding.
Gotcha.
I had a quick squiz of the law, the legislation. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I studied law, but I think I understand enough. So yeah, take it with a bucket of salt.
Hey Paul, nice to see you. Paul's one of our members. Hello. Let's see. Peter says my Powerball went up 20% for usage and 5% for supply. Yep, that's the way it's going to go, isn't it? Reamed Advance, still cheap overnight. Yeah,
20% is actually not that much. It is a large percentage-wise, but I think compared to other retailers, I've heard of much worse. I know of some retailers that are shutting down, closing their businesses or not accepting customers. So yeah, it's really unfortunate. Unfortunately, it's some of the smaller retailers who have not hedged properly, and the ones that may be a bit more green focused, they're the ones that are going to struggle the most. The large gentailers, because they're the ones that are increasing the prices. You know what I mean? So they're fine. They're hedged. You know what I mean? They own the coal and gas plants, so they're okay. Yeah. But yeah, let's hope it doesn't last too long. But anyway, we've got Mr. Mark Cannon Brooks in there, trying to put some pressure on them. Him and the Hester Fund. I think they voted to block the demerger of AGL's fossil fuel plants. And again, I don't know what the right thing to do is, but they seem pretty smart, so I'm assuming that's the right thing to do. So yeah, it's great to see.
Now I've got a super chat from Paul. It should come up soon. I'll put it up. I'd like to put up. No, I can't see it. Anyway, Paul has asked, governments should consider robo-taxi regulations. I can't find it. Anyway, that's what he's saying. Governments should consider robo-taxi regulations. Thank you, Paul, for that.
Yeah. Look, I think electric cars aren't going to save the world, right? There's still quite a big, large carbon footprint required to manufacture them. How they'll change the world or save the world is through kind of better sharing of resources, right? Utilization. How do we better utilize a car? Is it through using it as a battery? Is it through robo taxis? Yeah.
Or just car sharing.
Yeah, car sharing. Exactly, car sharing.
That's right. All right. Well, I think that's pretty good tonight. We've got quite a bit of comments and 200 viewers at the moment. That's great.
Awesome.
Thank you guys and girls.
Yeah, if anyone's got any questions about, I guess, the FPT part of things, I'm happy to answer it as best as I can. But again, your tax accountant will be much better placed to answer that than me. Well, in terms of, but the basic stuff, I'm more than happy to answer.
Yeah. Last chance, guys. Here we go.
Yeah.
But look, I think
it's basically a no-brainer. It's just a matter of getting your employer to be able to agree to a salary sacrifice arrangement.
Yeah. I think in summary, just show your employer Danny's article. Like, to me, that when I saw this, I was like, wow, that's huge. That's a massive saving. Why wouldn't you go green or go electric if you're going to get a car from your employer? If this legislation passes, of course. Oh, thank you, Gadget. That's great. Gadget just pledged $20.
It's very generous of Gadget.
Yeah, very generous. Thank you very much.
I might start doing these live feeds. I'm making some good coin here.
Oh, look, these guys are very generous.
I'm making no money at night time. I might actually have to start like moonlighting as an Uber driver in my BYD at night.
And live streaming Ubering. How about that?
Yeah, no. Well, I got to pay for my developers. They're expensive, you know. So they're building these tools for everyone, but I'm not like getting paid for it yet. So
we'll support you, Danny. Don't worry.
Yeah,
we'll keep reading.
No, I might make some money as or I might put the car on what is it, EV? Make some money on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, might do that. I was actually going to give it to my mother-in-law and father-in-law, but I'm going to do that. I'll make some money.
Why not? Another pledge from Alexander. Thank you for that. $5. Where are deliveries of Model 3P at? I've just ordered my second Model 3 and want to know roughly how long to expect and if Tesla's website is accurate. Danny, you might know, or even Riz, who's still on. You might know.
Look, I think Riz might know more than me. I'm pretty sure mine's originally, I reckon I was expecting mine probably in September. I'm pretty sure it's been pushed back to December, but I'm just speculating.
When did you order again, Danny?
March.
And what did it say at the time?
It said 5 to 7 months, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you haven't received any text from Tesla yet, right?
No.
Okay.
I don't check every day like everyone else. There's no point. There's no point.
I think people who ordered in early Feb have already been notified, like second half. So
yeah, okay. I haven't even got that yet. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll get to you.
I'm getting my. Well, hopefully I get my BYD 803 in July. I don't know yet either. Mr. Luke Todd and EV Direct. I'm waiting.
We'll have to get in touch with Luke again. I think he did say test drives in May, and today's the 26th, so we're cutting it close. Yeah. So Riz is saying 9 months of current orders. Q1 2023.
Actually, what did you think of the interior of the 803? It seems quite divisive.
Yes.
But apparently in person it looks a lot better. It's not as in your face.
Look, in person the quality is pretty good. Like the stitching is great. The panels are all flush. Sure, the colors are vibrant.
Did you mind it? Could you survive with that?
I reckon I could. I quite like
those. It would be a great experience
actually.
For like an Uber driver, right?
Totally.
Like, what's going on?
I know.
It's out of this world.
I know. This is something else. Like it's a talking
do that
point.
Just for fun.
Yeah.
So I can educate people about electric cars while I'm driving.
Absolutely. I quite like the screen actually, the way it rotates. I know it's a bit of a gimmick, but I quite liked it personally.
And it's very I think it'll be great to see it out in the open with all the light. It just seems so bright from what I can see. So
it's a fairly decent car. It's probably a
Q. 7-second car, by the way. I saw some testing in China. In a video. 7 seconds 0 to 100. That's pretty fast.
7 seconds,
yeah.
Not bad for rear-wheel drive.
Not slow.
Yeah. Rear-wheel drive or front-wheel drive? I'll double check that. Might be front-wheel
drive.
Actually,
I don't know if it's front. It's front or I'm pretty sure it's front or rear. Pretty sure it's front. Yeah, it's cheaper. Yeah. You know what's a great car that I'm excited about? The Seal. What they call the Seal. Oh my god, that is a good looking car. I'm like, that's better than my Model 3.
That's the Model 3 competitor.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. And I can see the way they designed it is for every variant, they've tried to make it as good or a little bit better than the Model 3 in terms of like range and power. Like a little bit better. So it will be interesting to see kind of where it's priced at and how the market reacts to it, because they're going to come under, but is a few $1,000s enough for people to choose that over a Model 3? Because with the Model 3, you've got your resale value confidence there, right? Like,
true. You got data.
Like originally when I went to buy my Model 3, I wanted the red one because I prefer the red. But But I asked the salesperson, what about resale value? He's like, well, if you want resale value, then get the most common one. And yeah, the white. Yeah.
Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. So,
Team red. Yeah.
I like red though. It's my favorite color. But for extra $3,000, which I don't really have, and I'm not gonna get it back. Just was too much for me to. Yeah.
Still, it's different.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna be like in my neighborhood, like every third car is gonna be like a white Model 3. Like
white, exactly.
there's already one on my street. Like yeah. So yeah, we're gonna get.
If you go to the Tesla delivery center, it's like 90% white, and then a few reds, few blues.
Yeah. Oh, well.
All right, question for you, Danny. Fringe benefit tax question. Don't you have to pay a residual at the end of your vehicle lease if you want to keep the car?
Yeah, that doesn't change. That doesn't change. But yeah, that was always going to be the case anyway. But yeah, you're getting the benefit of the tax deduction from the lease payments. So I guess, you have to pay the residual at the end of it. Yeah. Nothing about the structure of the lease will change. It's just your obligation or your employer's obligation to the government, that fringe benefits tax payable.
I mean, can you structure the lease so there's no residual? I mean, obviously the repayments are bigger.
Yeah, well, then you can, but then it'll be much higher repayments.
That's right.
But then again, it also depends on your financier whether they'll agree to that. I'm not sure.
Look at this. Where's the comment I saw? Here we go. BYD sold 22,000 cars in 7 hours. I assume that's in China, right? Not here.
Yeah, for sure.
And Riz is saying guitar strings. Yeah, actually, that did remind me of guitar strings when I saw it. They're like.
Did you play? Can you play some tunes on those guitar strings?
Yeah, I could probably try just a few twangs on that thing. But yeah, the shape of the thing on the side of the door storage areas. Yeah, they got the strings.
How was the space inside compared to your Model 3? Size-wise.
It was only very brief, but yeah, pretty good actually. I would say comparable, if not better. More room. Yeah. And again, higher up, so the high driving position, people like. I think boot space it seems bigger too because it's like a hatch lift as opposed to just. Yeah,
it's 440 liters. For the boot. Yeah.
I don't know how they measure the boot space, by the way. Like everyone's got a different number.
So interesting fact: the way they measure the Model Y is a bit different, so they get a larger number.
It's a huge number.
So that's not reality. It is bigger, I think, but it's not as big. So I need to get to the bottom of that as well because it's like I do these comparisons, right, where I compare like the base versions of all these kind of like small to medium crossovers, and it's the Model Y versus the Ioniq, and then the Model Y always has like this 800 liter boot. Like it's just crazy. It's because they measure it differently.
Right.
Yeah, it's not that much bigger. So Tesla's, I don't know, mate. Like it's great. They're as much marketing as they are tech. Put it that way. Yeah. But it's top notch. Don't get me wrong.
Even though they claim there's no marketing department, but I think Riz is jealous of us. We got to visit the BYD store. Nothing here in Melbourne yet.
Oh, mate. Well, if you come to Sydney in July, if my car's here, you are welcome to take the car for a spin.
There you go, Riz. I'm going to come visit you, Danny, in July when you get it.
Well, I'm probably just down the road from you, so you can come if you want.
Yeah, I will.
In December, I'll have 2 cars. So
hey, that's right.
I could hire you as my Uber driver, and I'll take 30%, and you can keep the 70%. And
if you're looking at it off camera,
I'm thinking that you get paid more to do this. So yeah, just do more of these. You're fine. Maybe I'll write more of these articles, and you do more of these, and then we can maybe like work on some type of arrangement here.
It's a winning team. Question about fringe benefit tax. Would current leases be exempt when the legislation changes? That's a good question, actually.
I don't even think they know yet, Peter. I'm pretty sure they don't know. I've worked within government before. They don't know yet. Yeah. Still to be determined. Still to be determined if it even applies. Pretty sure I don't remember reading anywhere if it applies to used cars as well.
Oh yeah, good point too.
I think it should. But yeah, there's no reason why you should not apply it to used cars. Yeah. If anything, you know what? I think they should even apply it to plug-in hybrids.
Oh.
Yeah. I think plug-in hybrids, it's very contentious. I decided not to go down that route. But for some people, it makes sense because a lot of them have ranges of between 50 to 80 kilometers, claimed range. Most people do that within their daily driving. I do that within my daily driving.
Good point.
So if you have access to charging, regular charging, like at home, you could pretty much go electric pretty much for all your commutes. And then you would only use petrol when you do that long drive, maybe that trip down the coast. And the efficiency, yes, it's more inefficient than a pure electric, but not that much more. Yeah, like it's really not significant. Like if you want to really save energy, turn off your lights, get better insulation in your home. That will yield you a better energy saving than the energy loss from having, I guess, the engine. They're actually not bad. I'm not going to go down that route, but I think for some people it can make sense.
No, I agree. I mean, like you said, most people don't drive more than 50 k's a day in the daily commute. So yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
But it's never going to be as good as, say, a pure electric platform because you're making compromises, right, in terms of space. Whereas, like I know with the Atto 3, it's the size of like a small kind of like SUV outside, but the inside is like medium. You know what I mean? Like it's so cool. So.
Well, I think as you said before, you save a lot on not having like a drive tunnel, for example, and engine kind of thing.
Just an engine at the front. You don't have an engine at the front.
Yeah.
So you can use that for everything else to store whatever. So.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to answer my own question here. What new EV policies would you like? I definitely want to see fuel efficiency standards. Come in very soon. We won't get the cars from Europe and Asia, I think, if we don't have that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Definitely.
I think Bayhard from EV Council is going to work on that. That's I'm sure he will. All right, everyone. That's I think that's it. That's a wrap for tonight. We've actually talked quite a bit about everything.
Yeah.
Current.
It's great. Go on all night. I love talking about this stuff.
That's good. So
I used to go around looking at, like, this is my destiny almost, and I didn't know it, right? Because I used to go around looking at the speedos of cars and like how fast they would go. I would just go around looking because I've always been into cars ever since I was young. I'd look and I just think of how fast a car could go. I guess it's true. It's just looking at the speedo. It doesn't take into account acceleration, but you know, I used to get really excited when I would see like 240 kilometers an hour.
Yes, top speed.
So, yeah, and I've always been fascinated like with stats and data, and like I remember like all the batting and like bowling averages of all the Australian players. Because I used to play cricket, believe it or not. Don't judge a book by its cover.
No.
I used to watch and play cricket. It wasn't very good, but I did it for the love of the game, and I would remember all the stats. And now I have a website that is very data driven about cars. You know what I mean? So it's funny how eventually, if you search long enough, you'll find your destiny. Yeah.
No, that's great. No,
cool.
look.
Anyway, thank you for having me on.
No, it's great, Danny. I love your articles. They're fantastic. I love all the data, and I'm looking forward to reading more, as I'm sure our viewers are. So
we're only beginning. Love to hear more. We're actually going to release an app soon. We're turning one of our web apps into like an Android app. So like the matching tool. So the new version of that's coming out. So we're going to try and make it like some type of kind of like one of those dating apps. So maybe later this year.
Yep.
Lots to come. Only constrained by money. But that's okay. The money will come eventually, hopefully.
It'll come. It'll be sustainable.
Well, the BYD, once I get 2 cars, then I can use 1 car to make money. So, we'll figure it out. Yeah.
Thanks, Danny. Thanks for joining us. And everyone, check out Zeekr.com for all of Danny's articles, and follow him on LinkedIn as well. He'll won't be disappointed. Thanks, Danny. Take care. Have a good night.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Thanks, everyone, and I hope you enjoyed that chat with Danny from Zeekr. And we talked about the Labor government's electric vehicle policy. Hopefully will come into effect very shortly in this country if it's passed through legislation. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night, and I'll see you at the next live stream, hopefully next week. Let's put on the outro. Yeah, hope you all have a great week, and hopefully those Teslas keep rolling in. 9 to 12 months, but we'll see what happens. Have a great week, and I'll see you next time on Ludicrous Feed Live. And as always, happy charging.